The Brain Training Protocol. Your brain is not a fixed machine. It is a living, breathing, constantly changing network of energy and possibility. For too long, you might have believed you were stuck with the mind you were born with. You accepted feeling foggy, forgetful, or stuck in mental ruts as just how things are. That ends today. This book is your invitation to a revolution. It is a step-by-step guide to rebuilding your most powerful tool from the inside out. We are going to train with purpose, build new strengths, and unlock potential you have only glimpsed in your best moments. Welcome to a new chapter of clarity, speed, and mental power. The journey you are about to begin is built on one powerful scientific truth: neuroplasticity. This simply means your brain can rewire itself based on how you use it. Every thought you think and action you take is like a path in a forest. The more you travel it, the clearer and easier it becomes. This book is your map to deliberately carving better, more effective trails. We call this map the protocol. It is a clear, 15-part system designed to be your personal coach. Forget confusing theories. Each chapter gives you a practical weekly mission. Get ready to meet a sharper, more resilient, and more capable version of yourself. Your first rep starts now. Chapter 1. Your first rep: the power of focused attention. Imagine a world-class archer named Leo standing before a target 50 meters away. The crowd is noisy, the wind is shifting, and his previous shot was poor. Leo does not try to silence the world or control the wind. He does one thing. He brings his entire awareness to the feeling of the bowstring against his fingers, to the steady rhythm of his breath. The world fades until only the target's center exists. He releases. The arrow flies true. Leo understood that power comes not from fighting distraction, but from mastering attention. Your mind is your bow, and your focus is the arrow. Where you choose to aim, it determines everything you hit in your life. We begin our training here because a scattered mind is a weak mind. Strength is born in the simple, sustained act of paying attention to one thing at a time. This is the bedrock of all mental prowess. Our modern world is designed to shatter your focus. Every ping, notification, and open tab is a tiny theft of your cognitive energy. You might feel you cannot concentrate on a book or a task for more than a few minutes without the itch to check your phone. This is not your fault, but it is now your responsibility to fix. The good news is that focus is a muscle, and muscles grow with consistent, correct exercise. You would not try to lift a heavy weight without learning the proper form first. In the same way, we must learn the proper form for mental concentration. We start small and build patiently. Your ability to direct your attention is the single greatest predictor of your success in this protocol and in life. Let's build that foundation strong. Think of your attention as a powerful spotlight in a dark room. A novice swings the light wildly, illuminating chaos for a second before moving on. A master holds the beam steady on one object, revealing every detail, shadow, and texture. The room has not changed, but the master gains infinitely more useful information. Our first exercise is designed to train you to hold your mental spotlight steady. We call it the 3-minute anchor drill. You will choose one simple anchor for your attention, like the sensation of your breath or the sound of a quiet tone. Your only job is to gently bring your focus back to that anchor whenever it wanders. This is not about achieving empty silence. It is about practicing the return. Every time you notice your mind has drifted and you guide it back, you have done a perfect mental rep. You have strengthened the neural circuit for control. Consider the story of Maya, a writer who struggled with a looming book deadline. She would sit at her desk, but within minutes she was researching unrelated topics, scrolling social media, and making unnecessary snacks. Her days were long, but her progress was zero. She decided to try the anchor drill for just 3 minutes before starting work. The first day was a battle, her mind rebelling like a wild horse. She stuck with it. After a week, those 3 minutes of focused breathing created a calm doorway into her work. She began using a timer, writing in focused 25-minute sprints with short breaks. The chaotic energy was gone, replaced by a steady, productive flow. The book that seemed impossible was finished ahead of schedule. Maya did not change her intelligence or talent. She simply learned to direct her focus. She mastered the first and most important skill. Distraction is a cunning opponent. It does not always come from outside. Often, it is the internal chatter of worries, plans, and random thoughts. Trying to stop these thoughts is like trying to stop the waves in the ocean. The goal is to learn to sit on the shore and watch them come and go without being swept away. Each time you observe a distracting thought without following it, you weaken its power over you. Your brain learns that these thoughts are just background noise, not urgent commands. This week, you will practice identifying your biggest distraction sources, both digital and mental. You will create simple barriers, like turning off notifications for an hour or writing down a worrying thought to address later. The goal is to create space for your focus to breathe and grow. You are decluttering your mental workspace so the real work can begin. Your Week 1 protocol is straightforward but profound. First, you will perform the 3-minute anchor drill twice daily. Second, you will choose one 1-hour block in your day to be a digital focus zone, silencing all non-essential devices. Third, you will end each day by writing down the top 3 moments you felt most focused. This is not about perfection. It is about practice and awareness. Celebrate every time you catch your mind wandering and gently guide it back. That is the victory. You are laying the neural pathway for disciplined attention. By the end of this week, you will feel a new sense of clarity and control. You will have taken the first, most crucial step in building a mind that works for you, not against you. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single, focused step. Chapter 2: Clearing the Static, Mastering Mental Clutter. Picture a brilliant air traffic controller named Sam in a busy tower. On a clear day, she guides dozens of planes to safe landings with calm precision. But one stormy evening, her radar screens flicker with static, her radios crackle with overlapping messages from pilots, and paper notes from earlier shifts cover her console. She feels a rising panic. She can see the blips of aircraft, but she cannot think clearly. A safe outcome depends on her ability to instantly clear the noise. Sam takes a decisive action. She switches to a backup clear radio channel, files the papers into a single urgent folder, and focuses on one screen at a time. Order is restored. Your mind is your control tower, and mental clutter is the static that causes costly errors. We must learn to clear the channels so your wisdom can land safely. Mental clutter is the collection of all your open loops. These are unfinished tasks, unresolved worries, half-formed ideas, and promises you have made to yourself. Every one of these loops spins in the background of your mind, using up precious cognitive RAM. This is why you can feel tired after a day of doing nothing but thinking about everything. Your brain is a prediction machine, and it hates unfinished business. It will constantly ping you with reminders about these open loops, creating a low-grade anxiety that feels like static on a radio. This static drowns out your creative thoughts, drains your focus, and makes even simple decisions feel overwhelming. The goal this week is not to eliminate all your tasks, but to get them out of your head and into a trusted system. You are building an external brain. Meet Alex, an entrepreneur whose big ideas were constantly suffocated by small details. He carried the weight of supplier emails, marketing plans, and unpaid invoices in his head. He would lie awake at night remembering a task he forgot to do, then forget it again by morning. His creativity felt blocked. Then he learned the brain dump method. One morning, he set a timer for 15 minutes and wrote down every single task, idea, and worry on his mind, from call accountant to buy milk to idea for a new service package. He filled 3 pages. The act of writing it down felt like a physical weight lifting from his skull. He then organized the list into projects, next actions, and a someday list. Suddenly, his mind was quiet. The static was gone, and in that quiet space, his best ideas began to flow again. Your external brain is a system you trust absolutely. For some, it is a simple notebook. For others, a digital app. The tool does not matter, the trust does. The system must be easy to use and reviewed regularly. When you know that every commitment is captured in a place you will check, Your mind is free to relax and engage in the present moment. This is the core of mental clarity. You are not trying to remember everything. You are building a reliable system to remember for you. Start by choosing your tool. It could be a notes app on your phone you already use. Commit to putting every new task, idea, or appointment into it immediately. This week, you will practice capturing everything. Do not judge or organize at first, just get it out of your head. You are clearing the storm from your control tower. The process of organizing your brain dump is where power is reclaimed. Take your raw list and sort it. What is a project? A goal requiring multiple steps? What is a single next action? What is just a reference note? What can be deleted or delegated? The key is to decide what each item means to you and what you commit to do about it. This act of decisive thinking trains your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for judgment and planning. You are not just making a to-do list, you are training your executive function. You will find that many worries lose their power once you define a next action, however small. Worry about finances becomes schedule a budget meeting on Thursday. The monster under the bed becomes a simple task when you shine the light of clarity on it. Your Week 2 protocol has 3 clear missions. First, you will perform a complete initial brain dump to empty your head. Second, you will process that dump into organized lists, projects, next actions waiting for someday. Third, you will begin a daily habit of a 5-minute mind sweep every evening to capture any new clutter. This practice will become your daily reset button. By the end of this week, you will experience a profound sense of mental relief. You will sleep better. You will walk into rooms and remember why you came. The constant background anxiety of forgetting will fade. You have now paired your powerful focus from Week 1 with a clear, uncluttered mental space. This is the platform from which all advanced mental skills are launched. You are in control. Chapter 3: Fuel and Recovery, the Brain-Body Connection. In a hidden valley, there were 2 master swordsmiths. The first, Kale, worked night and day, using poor-quality iron and never cleaning his tools. His forge was clogged with ash, and he slept only in short fits. The second, Alara, sourced the finest ore, meticulously maintained her tools, and ensured her forge fire burned clean and hot. She honored a strict rhythm of intense work followed by deep rest. When the king requested a legendary blade, both set to work. Kale's sword looked impressive at first but cracked under pressure. Alara's blade was flawless, strong, and held a perfect edge. Your brain is the swordsmith, and your body is the forge. You cannot craft a brilliant mind with poor fuel and a broken-down workshop. Excellence requires premium materials and dedicated maintenance. We often treat our brain as if it is separate from our body, a magical computer that should run regardless of what we put into the machine. This is a catastrophic mistake. Every thought, memory, and moment of focus is a biological process. It requires specific nutrients, hydration, and energy. When you fuel yourself with processed junk food, you are giving your brain low-grade, dirty fuel. It will sputter, fog, and underperform. Think of your neurons like high-performance engines. They need premium gasoline, not sugar-laced sludge. What you eat directly influences your focus, mood, and memory. Water is the essential oil for this system. Even mild dehydration slows neural transmission, making you feel slow and clumsy. Your first step in cognitive training is to respect this physical foundation. Consider the story of Ben, a talented programmer who lived on energy drinks, fast food, and very little sleep. He prided himself on pulling all-nighters to code. His work was riddled with errors he had to fix later, and he was constantly irritable. After a health scare, he changed his habits. He started eating whole foods like eggs, nuts, and blueberries. He swapped soda for water and herbal tea. He committed to a consistent sleep schedule. The transformation was not just physical. Within 2 weeks, his coding became more efficient, his bug count dropped, and he solved complex problems with new ease. He did not get smarter. He removed the obstacles that were making him dumb. His clean forge allowed his natural skill to shine through. Your brain is always listening to your body's chemistry. Sleep is not downtime. It is your brain's essential maintenance shift. While you are asleep, your brain is wildly active. It is flushing out metabolic toxins that build up during the day, consolidating memories from short-term storage into long-term knowledge, and repairing neural connections. Skimping on sleep is like skipping the cleanup and repair crew in the swordsmith's forge. The ash builds up, the tools dull, and the next day's work is harder and lower quality. Deep, consistent sleep is the most powerful performance enhancer legally available. It boosts creativity, solidifies learning, and regulates emotion. Prioritizing sleep is not a sign of laziness. It is the ultimate strategic move for anyone serious about mental performance. You are literally cleaning and sharpening your mind every night. Your nutritional strategy for a peak performance brain is simple. Focus on real, whole foods. Prioritize healthy fats from foods like avocados, olive oil, and fatty fish. Your brain is nearly 60% fat and needs the right building blocks. Eat colorful fruits and vegetables for their antioxidants that protect your neurons. Include lean proteins for steady energy and complex carbohydrates like oats and sweet potatoes for fuel. Most importantly, eat consistently to avoid blood sugar crashes that destroy focus. Think of food as information you are sending to your cells. Send messages of health and stability. Hydration is non-negotiable. Keep a water bottle nearby and sip throughout the day. Your brain is about 75% water. Even a 2% drop in hydration can cause significant focus problems. Feed and water your forge well. Your Week 3 protocol integrates these pillars. First, you will track your water intake and ensure you drink enough each day. Second, you will make one positive food swap, like replacing a sugary snack with nuts or fruit. Third, you will protect your sleep by setting a consistent bedtime and creating a 30-minute pre-sleep wind-down routine without screens. This week is about awareness and small, powerful upgrades. You are not going on a drastic diet. You are becoming a conscious engineer of your own biology. Notice how these changes affect your mental clarity, energy, and mood. By honoring the brain-body connection, you build a resilient, high-energy platform for the intense mental training to come. A champion mind needs a champion's foundation. Let's build it. Chapter 4, Memory Palace. Learn to remember anything. Long ago, the Greek poet Simonides stood in a great banquet hall, reciting a poem for a nobleman. After he finished, he was called outside briefly. In that moment, the hall's roof collapsed, crushing everyone inside. The bodies were unrecognizable. The families were distraught. Simonides, however, could close his eyes and vividly see where each guest had been sitting. He guided the families to their loved ones by walking through his memory of the room. From this tragedy, the memory palace was born. Your memory is not about dry repetition. It is about location, imagination, and vivid story. You have a natural, phenomenal ability to remember spaces and stories. We will harness that same power to remember anything you choose. Your brain is not designed to remember abstract lists or isolated facts. It evolved to remember locations for survival and stories for social bonding. The memory palace technique, also called the method of loci, taps directly into these ancient, powerful circuits. You use a familiar place, like your home, as a storage system. You then create wild, unforgettable mental images for the things you want to remember and place them along a path through this palace. To recall the information, you simply take a mental walk. The more bizarre, funny, or sensory your images are, the stronger the memory. You are not straining to remember. You are taking a guided tour of your own creative imagination. This method turns the chore of memorization into a playful, creative act. Meet Priya, a medical student drowning in the thousands of terms she needed to learn for her anatomy exam. Rote memorization left her exhausted and forgetting details. She decided to build a memory palace using her local grocery store, a place she knew aisle by aisle. To remember the parts of the brain, she imagined the cerebellum as a silly bell, cerebellum, balancing on the cereal boxes. The amygdala became an angry amygdala, attacking the dairy section. The hippocampus was a hippopotamus, hippocampus, swimming in a fish tank. She walked her mental path daily. In her exam, when she was asked to list brain structures, she simply visualized walking into the store. The vivid scenes popped into her mind effortlessly. She aced the section, not through harder study but through smarter encoding. Building your first palace is simple and exciting. Start by choosing a location you know incredibly well. Your childhood home or your daily commute works perfectly. Mentally walk through the location and identify specific, in order loci or stopping points. Your front door, the coat rack, the lamp, the sofa, these are your memory slots. Now take the first item you want to remember. Let's say it's buy milk. Imagine a gigantic talking milk carton bursting through your front door, flooding the entryway with milk. Make it ridiculous. For call dentist, picture your dentist sitting on your coat rack, dangling and ringing a giant bell. The key is to involve multiple senses. See it, hear it, maybe even smell it. The absurdity makes it stick. The true power of this technique is its scalability. You can have palaces for different areas of your life. One for your grocery list, one for speech points, one for learning a new language. Each palace is a dedicated mental folder. With practice, you can walk through these palaces at lightning speed, retrieving information with perfect accuracy. You are training your visualization muscles and your associative thinking, both of which boost overall creativity. This is not a parlor trick. It is a fundamental rewiring of how you interact with information. You move from a passive consumer of data to an active architect of knowledge. You build a library in your mind where every book has a specific, findable shelf. Your Week 4 protocol will make you a memory architect. First, you will build your first memory palace using a familiar location and map out 10 clear loci. Second, you will use it to memorize your next grocery list or a short list of important points. Third, you will practice recalling it both forward and backward. Feel the difference between this and rote memorization. Enjoy the creative process. By the end of this week, you will have a tangible superpower. You will prove to yourself that a bad memory is often just a poor strategy. You have now added a powerful tool to your cognitive toolkit. Information is no longer a threat of forgetting, but an opportunity for playful creation. Your mind is your palace. Let's fill it with treasures. Chapter 5: Speed of Thought, Processing Information Faster. In the heart of a bustling city, there was a legendary chess park. Two kinds of players gathered there. The first group would stare at the board for minutes before each move, sweating over complex future branches. The second group, led by an old woman named Marta, played speed chess. They had only seconds per move. Marta almost never lost. A young analyst asked her secret. She said, "The long thinkers see a tree and try to predict every leaf. I have learned to see patterns, the shape of the whole forest. My speed comes from recognition, not from calculation." Your mental speed is not about thinking harder. It's about training your brain to recognize patterns faster. We are going to build your cognitive pattern library so you can process the world at Marta's speed. Processing speed is how quickly you can take in information, understand it, and respond. It's the difference between feeling sharp and feeling sluggish. Many believe this speed is fixed, but it is highly trainable. Think of your brain as a vast network of roads. When you first learn something, it's like bushwhacking a new trail. It's slow and difficult. With repetition and practice, that trail becomes a path, then a road, then a highway. Information travels instantly on highways. Your goal is to build more neural highways for the types of thinking you do most often. We do this through targeted exercises that force your brain to make connections quickly, strengthening the signals between neurons. You are paving roads for lightning-fast thought. Jake worked as an emergency dispatcher. When a call came in, he had to listen to frantic information, instantly categorize the type of emergency, locate resources, and dispatch help all in under a minute. Early in his career, he felt overwhelmed. He would freeze trying to process every detail. Then his trainer put him through flash drill simulations. He would see a brief text or hear a short clip and have to shout out the core issue: fire, residential, or medical, cardiac. At first he was terrible, but soon he began to recognize patterns in the chaos. The specific words, the tone of voice, the background sounds, they all became clues his brain automatically sorted. His processing speed skyrocketed. He wasn't thinking more, he was recognizing faster. He had built the highways. We will train your speed with what we call rapid recall games. These are simple, timed exercises that push you to access information quickly. For example, you might set a 1-minute timer and name as many animals as you can starting with. Or look at a page of random numbers for 10 seconds, then look away and recall them. These aren't tests of knowledge, they're workouts for your retrieval speed. They force your brain to bypass hesitation and dive directly into its databases. Another powerful exercise is speed reading practice. Not to read everything fast, but to train your eyes and brain to chunk information. You practice seeing groups of words instead of individual words, which dramatically increases your intake rate without losing comprehension. Pattern recognition is the high-level skill behind speed. To develop this, you will play strategy games like chess or specific puzzle apps. You will practice thin-slicing situations in daily life. Look at a crowded scene and quickly identify the 3 most important elements. Listen to a conversation and instantly summarize the core disagreement. Your brain is a prediction machine. The more accurate patterns you feed it, the faster it can predict what comes next. This week, you will start to see the world not as a series of disconnected details, but as a tapestry of familiar shapes and sequences. This shift in perception is what creates the exhilarating feeling of quick-wittedness and mental agility. Your Week 5 protocol is designed to build neural highways. First, you will do a daily 5-minute session of rapid recall games, e.g., word lists, number memory. Second, you will practice speed reading a short article using a pointer to guide your eyes faster. Third, you will play one pattern-based game like a matching game or chess puzzles for 10 minutes. The key is consistent, short bursts of high-speed practice. Don't worry about accuracy at first. Speed is the goal. By the end of this week, you will notice your thoughts feel more fluid. Conversations may feel slower because you are processing ahead. You will retrieve common information almost instantly. You are upgrading your mental processor from a single-lane road to a multi-lane freeway. The world is about to start moving at your pace. Chapter 6. Mental Agility. Bend, Don't Break. There is a tale of 2 great oaks in a storm-prone forest. The first oak was rigid, proud, and unbending. It stood straight against every wind. The second oak was more supple. Its branches would sway and dance with the gusts. When the century's fiercest storm arrived, the rigid oak resisted with all its might. The wind found a single point of resistance and cracked its mighty trunk. The supple oak bent almost to the ground, its branches whipping wildly. When the storm passed, it shook off the water and stood tall again. Your mind faces storms of change, problems, and unexpected news. Mental rigidity is a weakness that leads to breaking points. Mental agility, the ability to bend, adapt, and see new angles, is your true strength. We are going to train your mind to dance with the wind. Mental agility is cognitive flexibility. It is the ability to switch thinking strategies, to see a problem from a new perspective, and to adapt your behavior to changing rules. A rigid thinker gets stuck on one idea, one solution, or one way of doing things. When that fails, they feel frustrated and blocked. An agile thinker enjoys the puzzle. They can let go of a failing approach without ego and pivot to a new one. This skill is the heart of innovation, problem-solving, and resilience. In a world that changes daily, agility is more valuable than raw knowledge. We build this by deliberately breaking our own thinking habits and practicing flexibility like a gymnast practices bends and flips. You will learn to enjoy the feeling of your mind stretching in new directions. Consider the story of a tech company with 2 rival project teams. Team Alpha was full of brilliant experts, each deeply committed to their own superior technical approach. They argued for weeks, progress stalled. Team Beta had fewer experts but a rule. For every problem, they had to brainstorm 3 completely different solutions before discussing any one. Their first ideas were often standard. Their second ideas were creative. Their third ideas, forced from stretching, were often breakthrough and weird. By forcing mental flexibility, Team Beta bypassed rigid thinking and found an elegant, simple solution Team Alpha had missed. The rule wasn't about finding three good answers. It was about breaking the habit of latching onto the first answer. Their agility beat Alpha's raw intelligence. We will train agility with the three solutions rule. For any problem, big or small, you will forbid yourself from committing to the first idea. You will force yourself to generate two more. The second solution should be the opposite of the first. If your first idea is to save money by cutting costs, your second must be to solve it by making more money. The third solution should be the weird one, involving something unrelated like nature, art, or a childhood game. This exercise stretches your associative thinking muscles. It breaks the neural rut of your most common thought patterns. You will discover that your third idea, though often impractical, contains a seed of genius that can refine your first idea into something remarkable. You are teaching your brain that there is never just one path. Another powerful tool is perspective shifting. Pick a situation you find frustrating. Now, mentally write the story of that situation from the viewpoint of the other person involved. Then, write it from the viewpoint of a neutral observer, like a fly on the wall. Finally, imagine how you will view this situation 10 years from now. This simple narrative exercise forces your brain out of its entrenched emotional and cognitive position. It literally changes the story you tell yourself, which changes how you feel and what actions seem possible. You are not a prisoner of a single narrative. You are the author of many. By practicing this, you build empathy and reduce stress, because few things seem like absolute dead ends when viewed from multiple angles. Your Week 6 protocol is about playful flexibility. First, apply the three solutions rule to three real problems this week. Second, practice perspective shifting once daily on a minor annoyance. Third, change up a routine. Take a different route to work, use your non-dominant hand for a simple task, or rearrange your desk. The goal is to create small, conscious disruptions to your brain's autopilot. Embrace the slight discomfort. It is the feeling of growth. By the end of this week, you will feel a newfound lightness in your thinking. Problems will feel more like puzzles waiting to be solved from multiple sides. You are shedding the weight of rigidity. Your mind is becoming supple, resilient, and ready to dance with whatever the world throws at it. The storm is coming. Let's learn to bend. Chapter 7, Deep Dive, Entering the State of Flow. In a quiet studio, a potter named Elena sat at her wheel. She centered the clay, her hands wet and sure. The world outside faded, the traffic, her to-do list, the time. There was only the rising shape of the vase under her palms, the sound of the wheel, the feel of the cool, spinning earth. Hours passed like minutes. When she finally looked up, a perfect vase stood before her, and she felt a profound, energized calm. She had been in a state of flow. This is not a mysterious art. It is a specific brain state available to anyone. It is the ultimate expression of a trained mind, complete absorption where skill and challenge meet perfectly. We are going to learn the science of triggering this super state on demand. Flow state, often called being in the zone, is characterized by intense focus, a loss of self-consciousness, a distorted sense of time, and a deep sense of enjoyment in the task itself. Neuroscientifically, it involves a beautiful harmony of brain networks. The prefrontal cortex, your inner critic, quiets down, while the sensory and motor regions light up. This is why you perform at your peak without overthinking. You are not judging, you are just doing. The key to accessing flow is not luck or rare talent. It is about structuring your work and environment according to specific triggers. You can design your life to make flow more likely. Think of it as building a launchpad for your deepest concentration and most brilliant work. David was a mid-level graphic designer who did good work but always felt he was capable of more. His days were chopped into meetings and emails. He decided to experiment. He blocked out a 3-hour flow window every morning. He turned off all notifications, put on the same playlist of instrumental music, a flow cue, and set a clear, challenging goal for one design project. The first day was hard, fighting the urge to check his phone. By the third day, something clicked. He became immersed in creating a logo, trying variations with a playful focus. He solved an alignment problem that had stumped him for days. When his timer went off, 3 hours felt like one. He had produced work of a quality and speed that astonished him. He had not just worked, he had launched himself into the zone. The golden rules for triggering flow are clear. First, the task must have a clear goal. Work on report is vague. Write the introduction section is clear. Second, you need immediate feedback. You must see your progress like a writer watching the word count rise or a coder seeing their program run. Third, the challenge must be balanced with your skill. Not so easy it's boring, not so hard it's anxiety-inducing. Just slightly above your current ability. Fourth, you must eliminate interruptions. A single notification can shatter the fragile state. This is why the deep focus you built in week 1 is your flow foundation. You are now adding structure to that focus to create a rocket ship. You will design your personal flow rituals. A ritual is a consistent sequence of actions that signals to your brain, it's time to go deep. It could be, clear your desk, pour a glass of water, put on headphones with a specific soundtrack, review your single goal and set a timer. The consistency is key. Over time, this ritual becomes a psychological trigger, dropping you into a focused state faster. Your environment matters immensely. Create a dedicated space, however small, that is associated only with deep work. This could be a specific desk lamp you turn on, a certain chair, or even a scent. You are conditioning your brain like Pavlov conditioned his dogs, but instead of salivating, your brain will start to secrete focus. Your Week 7 protocol is about engineering your flow. First, you will identify one important challenging task that is ideal for flow. Second, you will design your personal pre-flow ritual and test it. Third, you will schedule and protect one 90-minute deep dive session this week, applying all the rules. Guard this time fiercely. After the session, jot down what worked and how you felt. You are collecting data on your own peak performance. By the end of this week, you will have experienced, perhaps for the first time, what true, uninterrupted immersion feels like. The sense of accomplishment and clarity is addicting. You have moved beyond just managing your attention. You are now learning to orchestrate it into a symphony of productivity. Welcome to the zone. Chapter 8. The Creativity Engine, Generating Original Ideas. There is a myth that creativity is a bolt from the blue, a gift for the chosen few. The truth is far more exciting. Creativity is a trainable process of making novel connections between existing ideas. Think of your mind as a vast warehouse filled with all your experiences, knowledge, and memories. The creative person is not someone with a magically fuller warehouse. They are simply better at wandering the aisles and connecting items from different shelves. A chef combines unusual ingredients. An inventor merges two old technologies. Your brain is already the most powerful connection-making machine in the universe. We are going to oil the gears and train it to make more daring, original links on command. Everyone has experienced micro-creativity. It's the time you solved a household problem with a paperclip or made a joke that connected two unrelated topics. That is your innate creative engine at work. The problem is that stress, routine, and judgment shut this engine down. We will rebuild it through play and permission. Creativity requires a safe mental space where silly, bad, and weird ideas are welcome. These bad ideas are often the stepping stones to brilliance. Your first task is to separate the idea generation phase from the evaluation phase. For now, we are only concerned with generating volume. We will practice ideation without a filter, turning on the tap full blast before we ever think about which ideas are good. Quantity, in creativity, leads to quality. Lena ran a small bakery that was struggling to stand out. Her standard cakes were good but forgettable. Feeling stuck, she tried an exercise from this chapter called idea cross-training. She spent an afternoon not looking at food but visiting a hardware store, a comic book shop, and a botanical garden. She took photos of textures, colors, and shapes. The hexagonal pattern of a beehive in the garden, the gritty texture of sandpaper, the bold colors of a superhero costume. Back in her kitchen, she asked, what if a cake had a hexagonal pattern? What if a frosting had a slight gritty texture like cocoa nibs? What if a cupcake was decorated with bold, graphic lines? From these forced connections, her urban garden line was born, a unique, best-selling series that put her bakery on the map. The idea cross-training method is your main tool. It involves deliberately consuming information from fields unrelated to your problem. If you're stuck on a work project, go learn about architecture, biology, or poetry. The new patterns and concepts you encounter will act as keys to unlock stuck doors in your main field. Your brain will automatically try to find analogies. How is this marketing problem like a beehive? It needs structure, division of labor, and a clear core message. This cross-pollination is the essence of innovative thinking. You are feeding your warehouse new and unusual inventory, giving your connection-making engine more fascinating material to work with. You will also build an idea bank. This is a simple notebook or digital file where you capture every interesting fragment that crosses your mind. A quote, an observation, a weird dream, a half-baked business idea, a beautiful color combination. The act of capturing does two things. First, it tells your subconscious that your ideas are valued, so it will generate more. Second, it creates a raw material repository you can mine later. When faced with a creative challenge, you don't start with a blank page. You start by browsing your idea bank. You look for fragments you can combine. This turns the terrifying act of creation into the manageable act of curation and combination. You are never starting from zero. Your Week 8 protocol is about joyful generation. First, you will perform one session of idea cross-training. Explore a new magazine, podcast, or neighborhood unrelated to your work. Second, you will start your idea bank and capture at least 5 idea fragments each day. Third, you will hold a 15-minute bad idea brainstorm for a real challenge, where the goal is to generate as many ideas as possible, with extra points for the wild and impractical. Do not judge a single one. By the end of this week, you will feel a shift. The pressure to be original will lessen because you are constantly feeding your mind new inputs and honoring its outputs. You will see connections everywhere. Your creativity is not a finite resource. It is a muscle that gets stronger with use. Let's make it roar. Chapter 9. Critical Thinking. Building your mental *T detector. We live in an ocean of information, but not all of it is water. Much of it is pollution. Critical thinking is your mental filtration system. It is the ability to analyze information objectively and judge its credibility. It is not about being cynical or negative. It is about being clear and discerning. Without this skill, you are at the mercy of every persuasive ad, biased news story, and well-told lie. Think of your mind as a fortress. Critical thinking is not just the walls. It is the guard at the gate, checking the credentials of every idea that wants to enter. We are going to train that guard to be sharp, skeptical, and fair, so only the strongest, most useful ideas gain access to your belief system. The foundation of critical thinking is questioning assumptions, especially your own. We all have cognitive biases, which are mental shortcuts that often lead us astray. Confirmation bias makes us seek information that confirms what we already believe. The Dunning-Kruger effect makes unskilled people overconfident. These are not signs of stupidity. They are features of the human brain's design to save energy. A critical thinker knows these bugs exist in their own software. The first step is to cultivate intellectual humility, the willingness to admit you might be wrong. This is not a weakness. It is the ultimate strength. It opens the door to learning and prevents you from getting trapped in a flawed idea. You are about to become a detective of your own thoughts. Ravi was a passionate community member who loved debating local issues online. He found himself constantly in angry arguments, firmly convinced of his positions. One day, A friend challenged him not to argue his point, but to steelman the opposing viewpoint, to build the strongest, most persuasive version of the other side's argument that he possibly could. Reluctantly, he tried it. To do it well, he had to research the other side deeply, understand their values, and articulate their points better than they could. A strange thing happened. He didn't necessarily change his mind, but he understood the nuance of the issue. His own arguments became more sophisticated and less emotional. He went from a debater to a thinker. The Steelman exercise had upgraded his mental model from a battlefield to a complex map. You will practice with the drill-down questioning method. When presented with a claim, you ask a sequence of simple questions. What is the evidence for that? What is the source of that evidence? Is there alternative data? What might be another explanation? What are this person's motivations? You are not attacking, you are inquiring. You do this to news articles, to advertisements, and even to advice from experts. You also apply it to your own beliefs. Why do I believe this? What was my original source? Has new information come to light? This habit transforms you from a passive consumer of information into an active analyst. You stop taking things at face value and start looking for the scaffolding that holds them up. Forming your own strong opinions is the positive result of critical thinking. It is not enough to tear down weak arguments. You must be able to build strong ones. This requires gathering evidence from multiple, credible sources, considering counterarguments, and logically linking your evidence to your conclusion. Your opinion becomes a well-constructed house, able to withstand the winds of scrutiny. You will practice this by taking a neutral topic, researching it briefly from a few angles, and then writing a one-paragraph summary of your stance, including one strong point for the other side. This builds intellectual integrity. You become someone whose views are reasoned, not reactive. Your Week 9 protocol is detective training. First, you will perform one Steelman exercise, building the best case for a viewpoint you disagree with. Second, you will apply the drill-down questions to 3 pieces of information you encounter: a social media post, a news headline, an office rumor. Third, you will form and write down a reasoned opinion on a topic you've been casual about. This week's work might feel uncomfortable. It challenges ego and habit. But by the end, you will feel a new power. You will feel less swayed by rhetoric and more confident in your own judgments. The mental static of conflicting information will quiet down because you have the tools to evaluate it. Your mind's gate now has a master guard. Let the clear thinking begin. Chapter 10: The Unshakable Mind, Managing Stress and Anxiety. Imagine 2 sailors caught in the same sudden squall. The first sailor panics. He rails against the wind, tries to fight the waves, and exhausts himself. The second sailor feels the same fear, but she quickly assesses. She can't control the storm, but she can reef the sails, secure the gear, and steer into the waves to ride them out. She focuses on the actions within her control. Stress and anxiety are the squalls of the mind. They are not signs you are broken. They are signals that you perceive a threat. The goal is not to live a storm-free life. That's impossible. The goal is to become the seasoned sailor who knows how to navigate the storm without sinking. We are going to build your seaworthiness. Stress is your body's ancient alarm system. It releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to prepare you to fight or flee. This is helpful for a real, physical threat. The problem in modern life is that this same alarm is triggered by emails, traffic, and social pressures. When the alarm rings constantly, it corrodes your brain, shrinking the prefrontal cortex, your rational center, and strengthening the amygdala, your fear center. This creates a vicious cycle. Stress impairs your thinking, which makes problems harder to solve, which creates more stress. We need to learn how to turn off the alarm when there's no real tiger. We need to teach your body that it is safe, so your brain can think clearly again. This is the foundation of an unshakable mind. Tom was a project manager whose stress manifested as constant low-grade anxiety. He felt a tightness in his chest every Sunday evening. He tried to think positive, but it didn't work. Then he learned about the 90-second reset from neuroscience. When an anxious feeling hit, he would set a timer. For those 90 seconds, he would not try to stop the feeling. He would just observe it in his body, tightness in chest, faster heartbeat, and name it. This is anxiety. He would breathe slowly, making his exhale longer than his inhale. Neuroscience shows that an emotional chemical surge in the brain lasts only about 90 seconds if you don't feed it with more anxious thoughts. By simply riding the wave without adding a story, Tom found the feeling would often pass as quickly as it came. He wasn't fighting the storm. He was letting it blow through. The 90-second reset is your emergency tool. The steps are simple. First, pause. Second, locate the feeling in your body. Third, name the emotion. Fourth, breathe deeply for 90 seconds, focusing on the exhale. This practice does not make the problem go away, but it separates you from the emotional tsunami. It creates a space between stimulus and response. In that space, you find your power to choose. This is the core of emotional regulation. You are not your anxiety. You are the observer of your anxiety. This subtle shift in perspective is incredibly powerful. It allows the thinking part of your brain to come back online and address the actual problem, not just the panic about the problem. Long-term stress management requires reframing the narrative. The stories you tell yourself about events determine your stress level. My boss gave me critical feedback. I'm going to be fired is a high-stress narrative. My boss gave me critical feedback. This is valuable information to improve my project is a low-stress narrative. The facts are the same. The story is different. Each week, you will practice catching one of your high-stress stories and consciously rewriting it. Ask, is there another way to view this? What would a calm, wise friend say? What opportunity might this contain? You are training your brain to default to a more empowered, objective interpretation. You are becoming the author of your experience, not the victim of it. Your Week 10 protocol builds your calm base. First, you will practice the 90-second reset at least twice daily, even when you're not highly stressed, to build the neural pathway. Second, you will identify and reframe one recurring stressful narrative in writing. Third, you will introduce one daily stress buffer activity, 5 minutes in nature, a short meditation, or gentle stretching. This week is about building your resilience toolkit. By the end, you will have a proven method to handle acute anxiety and a strategy to reduce chronic stress. You are not aiming for a life without waves, but for the skill to sail them. The feeling of having agency over your inner state is the beginning of true mental strength. Your mind is becoming unsinkable. Chapter 11. Grit and Mental Stamina. Push past your limits. Endurance is not just for athletes. Every time you push through a difficult task, study for an extra hour, or resist the urge to quit, you are building mental stamina. This is the quality of grit, passion, and perseverance for long-term goals. Think of your willpower as a muscle that can be both exhausted and strengthened. Everyone hits a wall of mental fatigue where the desire to stop is overwhelming. The difference between those who achieve and those who don't is often the ability to find a second wind on the other side of that wall. We are going to train you to not only hit that wall, but to learn how to break through it, time and again. Your capacity for hard things is about to expand. The brain has a built-in conservation mechanism that signals fatigue before you are truly physically depleted. It's a safety feature, but like any alarm, it can be overly sensitive. Mental stamina training is about gently teaching that alarm to recalibrate. You do this by consistently operating just beyond your perceived limit in short, controlled bursts. This is the 5 more rule in action. When you feel you absolutely must stop reading, do 5 more minutes. When you want to quit a workout, do 5 more reps. When you want to abandon a difficult email, write 5 more sentences. This small act does 2 things. It proves to your subconscious that the danger signal was false, and it strengthens the neural pathway for persistence. You are expanding your comfort zone, one small 5 more at a time. Sarah was training for her first marathon. At mile 18 of her longest training run, she hit the wall. Every part of her screamed to walk. Her previous self would have listened, but she had been practicing mental stamina with her work projects. She broke the remaining distance into absurdly small chunks. Just run to that next stop sign. When she reached it, okay, just to the blue mailbox. She focused only on the next tiny landmark, not the 8 miles left. By celebrating each micro-win, she kept moving. She discovered that the crushing fatigue would ebb and flow. She found a rhythm, a second wind, and finished the run. The principle translated perfectly from the office to the road. Overwhelm is defeated by shrinking the frame of focus to the next immediate, doable step. We will build your resilient scorecard. This is not about judging yourself. It's about tracking evidence of your growing grit. At the end of each day, you will note one instance where you pushed past a resistance point. It could be as simple as got out of bed when the alarm went off instead of snoozing, or finished the budget report even though I wanted to procrastinate. Writing it down solidifies the victory in your neural circuitry. It transforms an abstract feeling of "I tried hard" into a concrete data point of "I did this." Over weeks, this scorecard becomes a powerful motivator. You can look back and see a long list of proof that you are stronger than your impulses. You are building a portfolio of your own perseverance. Another key is learning to differentiate between true exhaustion and momentary discomfort. True exhaustion requires rest and recovery. Honor that. Momentary discomfort is just the feeling of growth. We will practice sitting with productive discomfort. Set a timer for 10 minutes and work on a task you've been avoiding. Notice the urge to escape, to check your phone, to get a snack. Don't act on it. Just observe the discomfort like a scientist. You'll find it peaks and then often subsides. This practice builds tolerance. You learn that the feeling of "I can't" is often just a feeling, not a fact. You are building the mental calluses that allow you to handle bigger and bigger challenges without flinching. Your Week 11 protocol is about forging tenacity. First, apply the 5 more rule 3 times this week to tasks where you feel like quitting. Second, start your resilience scorecard and make a daily entry. Third, schedule one 10-minute discomfort session to work on a procrastinated task, just observing your resistance. This week's work is gritty. It will feel difficult. That's the point. By the end, you will have a new relationship with fatigue and resistance. You will see them not as stop signs, but as signals that you are in the growth zone. Your mental stamina will have taken a tangible leap forward. You are building the endurance to see your biggest dreams through to the finish line. The wall is just an illusion. Let's learn to run through it. Chapter 12. Learning to learn, master any new skill faster. In a small village, a young woman wanted to learn the ancient craft of weaving from the master Aris. She expected to sit for years, slowly copying his every move. Aris gave her a strange first task: take this loom completely apart. Confused, she did. "Now," he said, "put it back together." She struggled for days, but in doing so, she understood how every thread and petal functioned. Her first weaving was clumsy, but her progress after that was meteoric. She had learned the structure before the art. This is the secret to learning anything faster. You must deconstruct the skill into its fundamental components. You don't learn to play a song. You learn chords, rhythm, and melody. Then you combine them. We are going to turn you into a master deconstructor. The common approach to learning is to dive in and practice a skill as a whole. Hopping repetition alone will create mastery. This is hard practice. It feels effortful but is often slow and inefficient. Smart practice involves deliberate deconstruction and targeted drilling of the weakest sub-skills. A chess player doesn't just play games. They study endgame puzzles, opening theory, and tactical patterns separately. A language learner doesn't just try to converse. They drill vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation in isolation. This method, called deliberate practice, is what separates experts from amateurs. It's not about the hours you put in. It's about how you use those hours. You are about to learn how to design your own ultra-efficient learning sessions. Mark wanted to learn to code to change careers. He started an online course but quickly felt overwhelmed by the sheer volume of concepts. He switched strategies. He deconstructed coding into sub-skills, understanding syntax, problem-solving logic, debugging errors, and using key tools. He focused 80% of his daily hour on his weakest link, which was problem-solving logic. He used platforms that gave him tiny coding challenges, focusing only on that piece. He stopped trying to build full apps immediately. Within a month, his progress accelerated dramatically. By isolating and attacking the specific bottleneck, he strengthened the foundation. When he returned to building projects, the pieces fit together smoothly. He had learned how to learn coding, a skill that would serve him for life. Your first step in learning any new skill is research and deconstruction. Before you take a single action, spend some time asking, what are the minimal learnable units that make up this skill? What do the experts say are the most important fundamentals? What are the common beginner pitfalls? You are creating a map before you embark on the journey. Your practice sessions then become targeted missions to conquer one piece of the map at a time. This makes practice less daunting and progress more measurable. You are not practicing guitar. You are mastering the G chord transition to C. This clarity eliminates wasted time and builds confidence with each small victory. You are the architect of your own learning curve. You will also employ the Feynman technique, named after the Nobel physicist. To ensure you truly understand a concept, try to explain it in simple terms, as if to a child. If you get stuck or have to use jargon, you've found a gap in your understanding. Go back and study that specific gap until you can explain it simply. This process of retrieval and simplification forces your brain to consolidate knowledge and make deep connections. It turns passive, I've seen this, knowledge into active, I can use this understanding. Whether you're learning economics, a software program, or a new language, this technique will expose your illusions of competence and guide your study to the areas that need it most. Your Week 12 protocol turns you into a learning machine. First, choose a small skill you want to learn or improve. Second, deconstruct it into its 4-6 fundamental subskills. Third, design one 30-minute deliberate practice session focused solely on your weakest subskill. Fourth, use the Feynman technique to explain a key concept from it to an imaginary child. This week is about meta-learning, learning how to learn. By the end, you will have a proven, systematic approach you can apply to any future skill. The intimidation of starting something new will vanish because you have a reliable process. You are no longer at the mercy of hope and effort. You are in control of your own growth. The world of skills is now your playground. Chapter 13. The Daily Drill, your 15-minute maintenance routine. Consistency beats intensity every single time when it comes to building a lasting trait. A brilliant mind is not the result of a few heroic all-nighters. It is the product of daily, thoughtful maintenance. Think of the world's finest gardens, museums, or libraries. They don't just get one massive cleanup a year. They have daily routines of care. Your mind deserves the same. We are going to design your perfect, sustainable daily drill. This is not another burdensome to-do list. It is a quick, enjoyable ritual that touches all the key areas of your cognitive fitness, keeping your skills sharp and your mental energy high. This 15-minute routine will become the non-negotiable hygiene of your mind, like brushing your teeth for your brain. The biggest mistake people make is creating a routine that is too ambitious and then feeling guilty when they can't sustain it. The key is sustainable excellence. Your daily drill must be so simple and rewarding that skipping it feels stranger than doing it. It should be built from the most potent exercises from our protocol, distilled into microdoses. The goal is maintenance and momentum, not massive gains. Those gains come from your dedicated weekly deep work. The daily drill is what prevents backsliding and keeps the neural pathways you've built well-traveled and clear. It's your 5-minute daily check-in with your most important asset, yourself. Let's build a routine you will love, not loathe. We call the core of this routine the Daily 6. These are 6 categories, each getting roughly 2.5 minutes of your focus. They are designed to be flexible. You choose the specific activity, but you hit the category. Here they are: focus, memory, agility, learning, clarity, and calm. For focus, you might do a 1-minute breathing anchor. For memory, you might recall yesterday's main events in detail. For agility, you might do a quick puzzle or brain teaser. For learning, you might review a flashcard or read a page of a nonfiction book. For clarity, you would review your calendar and top priorities for the day. For calm, you would practice a 90-second reset or express one thing you're grateful for. This covers the full spectrum of mental fitness in one efficient sweep. The magic is in the ritual and the tracking. You will perform your daily 6 at the same time each day, perhaps with your morning coffee or right before lunch. You will use a simple tracker, a checkbox in your planner, or a dedicated app to mark completion. This tracker is not for judgment, it's for motivation. Seeing an unbroken chain of successes is powerfully reinforcing. It turns discipline into a game. You are collecting evidence of your commitment. On days you feel unmotivated, you just focus on starting the first 2.5-minute segment. Often, momentum carries you through the rest. The routine becomes autopilot, freeing up mental energy for the creative and challenging work of your day. You are installing a positive habit loop. Consider the story of a busy teacher named Clara. She felt her mind was always scattered, reacting to the day's chaos. She started her daily drill during her planning period. It took less time than brewing a cup of tea. She found that the 2 minutes of clarity, planning her next teaching block, and the 2 minutes of calm, a quick gratitude, transformed her afternoons. She was more present with her students and less drained at the end of the day. The small investment paid massive dividends in her sense of control and peace. Her mind felt tuned and ready. She wasn't doing more work. She was doing smarter maintenance. Her cognitive car was getting its daily check under the hood, preventing breakdowns. Your Week 13 protocol is about automation. First, you will design your personal daily 6 based on the categories above, choosing specific, quick activities you enjoy. Second, you will build your simple tracker. A note card on your desk is perfect. Third, you will execute this 15-minute drill for 6 consecutive days. The goal is consistency, not perfection. Notice how this small routine changes the tone of your days. By the end of the week, it will start to feel like a natural part of your rhythm. You have now moved from a learner of techniques to an integrator of a system. You have a lifelong practice for mental fitness. The protocol is no longer a book you're reading. It is a habit you are living. You are your own daily coach. Chapter 14. Social Synergy, Training Your Brain with Others. Your brain does not exist in a vacuum. It is a social organ, shaped and sharpened by every interaction you have. The people you surround yourself with act as living mirrors, challengers, and collaborators for your mind. Think of a mastermind group or a great team. Ideas bounce, perspectives clash and merge, and everyone rises to a higher level. This is social synergy, the cognitive lift you get from connecting with others. Training in isolation has limits. This week, we bring your brain training into the relational world. You will learn how to turn conversations into brain workouts, how teaching solidifies your learning, and how to build a tribe that makes you smarter. Your network is your neural net. One of the most powerful learning techniques known is called the protégé effect. The act of teaching someone else a concept forces you to organize your thoughts, simplify complex ideas, and fill in your own gaps in understanding. When you prepare to teach, you learn more deeply and retain information far better than if you were just studying for yourself. You don't need to be an expert to use this. You simply need to be one step ahead of someone else, or even commit to explaining what you learned today to a friend or family member. This week, you will make teaching a regular part of your protocol. You are not just consuming knowledge, you are curating and transmitting it, which locks it into your own brain. Ben and Mia, 2 friends learning a new language together, decided to gamify their practice. They had a weekly coffee and Spanish date with 2 rules. First, they could only speak in Spanish, and second, they had to teach each other one new concept they'd learned that week. The pressure to explain a grammar rule to Mia forced Ben to truly understand it. Mia's questions exposed Ben's assumptions. Their friendly competition and collaboration created a fun, supportive pressure that accelerated their learning far beyond any solo app could. Their social bond became the engine for their cognitive growth. They were each other's accountability partners and living textbooks. They had created a mini ecosystem for brain training. You will practice having brain-boosting conversations. These are dialogues with a simple goal: to leave the other person and yourself with a new perspective or a clearer thought. You can do this by asking better questions. Instead of "How was your day?" try "What's a problem you're wrestling with lately?" Or "What's something you learned recently that changed your mind?" Listen with the intent to understand, not to reply. Then practice reflective listening. "So what I'm hearing is..." This deepens your empathy and analytical listening skills. You can also play light strategy games with friends or family, card games, board games, or even collaborative puzzle solving. These are fun ways to practice agility, strategy, and focus in a social setting. Building your cognitive tribe is a conscious act. Seek out people who challenge you, who have different expertise, and who value growth. This doesn't mean abandoning old friends. It means bringing a new intention to some relationships and perhaps cultivating new ones. Join a book club, a debate group, a makerspace, or an online community focused on a skill you're developing. The synergy of a group striving for similar growth creates a powerful upward pull. You absorb new ways of thinking simply by exposure. Your brain's mirror neurons learn from watching others overcome challenges. You are plugging your mind into a network of other upgrading minds, creating a collective intelligence greater than the sum of its parts. Your Week 14 protocol connects your training to the world. First, you will use the protege effect. Teach one concept from this book to someone in your life. Second, you will initiate one brain-boosting conversation using a deeper question. Third, you will engage in one social game or collaborative puzzle. This week's work is about breaking the solo practice bubble. By the end, you will feel the energizing effect of social synergy. You will see that your growth is not a solitary pursuit but a relational one. The skills you've built now have a playground and an audience. You are not just training your brain, you are beginning to contribute to the intelligence of your circle. The rising tide lifts all boats. Chapter 15. The Future-Proof Brain, Adapting for a Changing World. The final skill, the one that binds all others together, is curiosity. In a world where specific facts become outdated and technologies evolve overnight, the only true future-proof trait is the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Curiosity is the engine of that ability. It is not a passive wondering. It is an active, disciplined seeking of the new and the confusing. Think of your mind not as a fortress to be defended, but as an expedition ship to be sailed into unknown waters. The captain of this ship is not your intelligence or your memory, but your relentless, childlike curiosity. This final chapter is about installing curiosity as your default setting, ensuring your brain never stagnates but remains forever agile, hungry, and growing. A future-proof brain is antifragile. It gets stronger from volatility, from change, from shocks. It doesn't just withstand the new, it thrives on it. You build this by regularly stepping outside your intellectual comfort zone. This means deliberately consuming media you disagree with, trying hobbies you're bad at, and asking dumb questions. It means being okay with the feeling of being a beginner again and again. This constant, voluntary exposure to novelty keeps your neural pathways plastic and your thinking fresh. It prevents you from becoming the rigid oak in the storm. You are cultivating the mindset of a permanent explorer, for whom the unknown is not a threat but an invitation. The goal is to fall in love with the process of figuring things out. You will institute a personal innovation hour. This is 1 hour per week dedicated purely to exploration with no immediate practical goal. In this hour, you might learn the basics of a new language on an app, watch a documentary on a field you know nothing about, take apart a broken gadget, or follow an online tutorial for a creative software. The rule is, it must be unrelated to your job or main hobbies. It must feel like play. This scheduled curiosity ensures you are constantly feeding your brain new patterns and concepts. It's cross-training for your entire cognitive system. From these playful explorations, Unexpected connections to your real-world challenges will often emerge. Your innovation hour is the research and development lab for your mind. Now we look back. Take a moment to review your journey from Chapter 1. You began by learning to direct your spotlight of focus. You cleared out the mental clutter that was draining your energy. You fueled your biological forge. You built palaces in your memory and highways for your thoughts. You learned to bend like a supple tree and dive into the deep flow state. You turned on your creativity engine and your critical thinking filter. You built resilience against storms and stamina to push through walls. You mastered the art of learning itself. You built a daily drill and connected it all to the social world. Look at the person who started this book and the person you are now. You have not just learned about a protocol, you have lived it. You have forged a new brain. This final week is about solidifying your identity as a lifelong learner and defining your path forward. The protocol is now yours. You understand the principles. You must now tweak them, own them, and adapt them to your evolving life. Your daily drill will change as your goals change. Your innovation hour will explore new frontiers. The tools are in your hands. Your mind is a garden, and you are now the skilled gardener. You know how to plant new seeds, learning, prune unhelpful growth clutter, water consistently, daily drill, and protect from storms, resilience. A garden is never finished. It is always growing, changing, and yielding new fruit. Your mental garden requires the same gentle, consistent tending. Your Week 15 and Lifetime Protocol is your launch plan. First, you will conduct your first official innovation hour. Second, you will write a letter to your future self, describing the cognitive traits you commit to nurturing. Third, you will review your entire journey and design your ideal, sustainable weekly schedule incorporating the daily drill, deep work blocks, and social synergy. This is not an ending. It is a commencement. You are graduating from a trainee to a self-guided expert. The structured training is over, but the practice of excellence has just begun. You have the blueprint. Now go build the life your new brain deserves. The final challenge is to pay this forward. Share one insight that helped you. In teaching, you will learn all over again. Conclusion: you are now the coach. Look back at the path you've walked. You started with a simple anchor drill, a commitment to focus for just 3 minutes. From that small seed, you have cultivated an entire ecosystem of mental skills. You faced the static of clutter and learned to clear it. You upgraded your fuel and mastered your own memory. You trained for speed, agility, and deep flow. You learned to generate ideas and critically dissect them. You built resilience against stress and stamina for long hauls. You mastered the art of learning itself. And then you connected it all to a daily practice and a community. The person who finishes this book is not the same person who started it. You have new tools, new habits, and a new understanding of what your mind can truly do. You have done the work. You have earned this change. The protocol is no longer pages in a book. It is the lived experience in your neurons. It is the calm you feel when stress arises, the clarity when faced with clutter, the creative spark in a meeting, the patience to learn something new. These are your skills now. You are the expert of your own mind. The responsibility and the incredible freedom is now yours. You get to be the coach of your own cognitive team, designing the weekly drills, calling the plays, and celebrating the wins. Trust the process you've embodied. Keep your curiosity burning, your practice consistent, and your connection strong. You have built a future-proof mind, one designed not for a static world but for a lifetime of adventure, growth, and contribution. The training is complete. The real game begins. Go play it brilliantly.